I've nursed 4. Ouch! Damn it, it's got jaws like a dinosaur.
Hello, Edith.
Hello, Peggy.
Here.
How thoughtful. Nurse, we left this damn hospital if they're equipped with a decent vase.
Oh, let me see him. Oh, Edith, isn't he divine?
I hate that milky smell.
What's that on his nose?
What nose? Oh, that's an ash.
It's from Mary.
All about how healthy Reno is, not a word about how she feels. I thought she cared more about Stephen than that. She sends her love to you and John. Oh. What are you so down in the mouth about? I feel just as badly as you do, but it was just the thing Mary wanted, or else she wouldn't have done it. Judging by that, she's reconciled herself to the whole idea.
She's just being brave.
Brave? Why should she bother to be brave with her friends? Here, nurse, he's through. I told Phelps to be sure to tell Stephen that Mary's perfectly happy. He'll cheer Stephen up and going around like a whipped dog.
Oh, Edith, please let me hold him.
Careful of his back, Mrs. Day.
Oh, I like the feeling so.
Oh, you wouldn't like it so much if you had just had it. I had a terrible time, didn't I, nurse?
Oh no, Mrs. Potter, you had a very easy time. Why, women like you don't know what a terrible time is. You tried bearing a baby and scrubbing floors. Try having one in a cold, filthy kitchen without ether, without a change of linen, without decent food, without a cent to bring it up. And then you try getting up the next day with your insides falling out to cook your husband's. No, you didn't have a terrible time at all, Mrs. Potter. I'll take the baby now, please. I hope you have one of your own one day, Mrs. Day.
Well, for God's sake, Peggy, that old battle axe didn't hurt my feelings one bit. They're all the same. If you don't get peritonitis or have quintuplets, they think you've had a picnic. What's wrong?
Edith, John and I are getting a divorce.
Well, darling, that's what I heard.
We didn't decide to until last night.
Oh, darling, everybody could see it was in the cards. Money, I suppose.
Oh, dear, I wish Mary were here.
Well, she'll be there. Oh, forgive me, dear. I do feel sorry for you, but it is funny.
What's funny?
It's going to be quite the gathering of the clan. Howard Fowler bought Sylvia out right on her ear. He's threatened to divorce her in New York if she doesn't go to Reno and name her young customer man.
But Howard's always known.
Well, certainly Howard hired him so he'd have time for his own affairs. Howard's got some girl he wants to marry, but nobody, not even Winchell, knows who she is. Howard's a cooney cuss. Oh, I do think it's screaming. You remember how Sylvia always thought she was putting something over on us girls?
Life's awfully unattractive, isn't it? Oh.
I wouldn't complain if that damn stork would take the Indian sign off of me.
Lucy, where's Mrs. Haynes?
Down waiting for the mail. Oh, you miss her a lot when she goes tomorrow. Miss Haynes is about the nicest ever came here.
I hate Reno.
You didn't come for fun. The grave will decay you and change you to dust. Ain't one boy out of 20 a poor gal can trust.
You've seen lots of divorcees,
for 10 years.
You feel sorry for us?
Well, ma'am, I don't. You feel plenty sorry enough for yourselves. Lord, you ain't got much else to do.
You've never been married, Lucy.
Oh, I've had 3
Husbands?
kids.
Then you're probably very happy.
Lord, ma'am, I stopped thinking about being happy years ago.
You don't think about being happy.
We'd have the time with the kids and all, and the old man's such a demon when he's drinking. Them big, strong, red-headed men, they're fierce.
Oh, Lucy, he beats you? How terrible.
Ain't it? When you think what a lot of women in this hotel need a beating worse than me.
But you live in Reno. You could get a divorce overnight.
Lord, a woman can't get herself worked up to a thing like that overnight. You know, I had a mind to do it once, had the money too, but I had to call it off.
Why?
Found out I was in a family way.
Lucy, tell Mrs. Haynes I must talk to her alone before supper.
Oh, Peggy, how are you, dear child?
All right, Countess Deloche.
I've been galloping madly over this sagebrush all day. Lucy, here's a wee juggy. We must celebrate Mrs. Haynes' divorce.
Oh, Countess Deloche, I don't think a divorce is anything to celebrate.
Wait till you've lost as many husbands as I have, Peggy. Married, divorced, married, divorced. But where love leads, I always follow. So, here I am in Reno.
I wish I were anywhere else on earth.
Oh, my dear, you've got the Reno jumpy wumpies. Did you go to the doctor? What did he say?
He said it was the altitude.
Well, la, you'll get used to that. My third husband, Gustav, was a ski instructor. If one lives in Switzerland, Peggy, one has simply got to accept the Alps. I used to say to myself, Flora, there those damn Alps are, and there's very little even you can do about them.
Yes, Countess Deloche.
Oh, I wish she hadn't brought up the Alps, Lucy. It always reminds me of that nasty moment Gustav made me climb to the top of one of them. Lucy, take off my boots. Anyway, there we were, and it suddenly struck me that Gustav had pushed me. I had slipped halfway down the mountain before I realized Gustav didn't love me anymore. But love takes care of its own, Lucy. I slid right into the arms of my fourth husband, the Count.
Ain't that the one you're divorcing now?
Well, of course, Lucy. What could I do when I found out he was putting arsenic in my bromo seltzer? L'amour. Were you ever in love, Lucy?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about it, Lucy.
Ain't much to tell. I was kind of enjoying the courting time. It was as pretty a sight as you ever saw to see him come loping across them hills. The sky so big and blue, and that hair of his blazing like the bejesus in the sun. Then we'd sit on my back fence and we'd spark. Oh, but ma'am, you know how them big, strong, red-headed men are. They just gotta get to the point. So we got married, ma'am, and naturally I ain't had no chance to think about love since.
The trouble with me, Lucy, is I've been marrying too many foreigners. I think I'll go back to marrying Americans.
Hi, Lucy.
Evening, Miss Aarons.
Hiya, Countess. How's the rhythm on the rein?
Gallop, gallop, gallop madly over the sagebrush. Oh, but now, Miriam, I'm having an emotional relapse. In 2 weeks, I'll be free. Free as a bird from that nasty little French bastard. But whither, oh, whither shall I
To the
fly?
arms of that cowboy up on the dew branch.
Miriam Aarons.
Why, he's nuts for you, Countess. He likes you better than his horse. And it's such a damn big horse.
Well, Buck Winston is nice. So young, so strong. Have you noticed the play of his muscles? Musical. Musical.
He could crack a coconut with those knees if he could get them together. Say, Countess, that guy hasn't been arousing your honorable intentions in you, has he?
Why, yes, Miriam, but I'm different from the rest of you. I've always put my faith in love. Still, I've had 3 divorces. Dare I risk a 4th?
What are you risking, Countess? Maybe I shouldn't ask.
I mean, Miriam, I could never make a success of Buck Winston at Newport.
Oh, even Mrs. Astor would have to admit Buck's handsome. If I had your dough, I'd take him to Hollywood first, then Newport.
Hollywood? Why not? I might turn him into a picture star. After all, my second husband was what was he? Oh, a gondolier. And a month after I married him, a duchess eloped with him. Oh, l'amour.
Hiya, Sylvia. Going to a ball?
Doing the town with the boyfriend.
Where'd you pick him up?
The Silver State Bar. I'm not going to sit around moping like Mary.
Poor Mary, if her husband gave her the flimsiest excuse, she'd take him back.
He has no pride. I'd roast in hell before I'd take Howard Fowler back. Kicking me out like that after all I've sacrificed.
Such as what?
I gave him my youth.
Hey, La, what else can a woman do with her youth but give it to a man?
Hey, she can't preserve it in alcohol.
Sylvia, how could your husband kick you out if you were a femme fatale?
Of course I was a faithful wife. What are you laughing at?
Two kinds of women, Sylvia. Owls and ostriches. To the feathered sisterhood. To the girls who get paid and paid. And you got paid plenty.
You bet I got plenty, the skunk. And I would have got plenty more if only I could have pinned something on him.
Didn't you try?
Certainly not. To put it mildly, Howard has been impotent for years.
I never got a sou from any of my husbands except my first husband, Mr. Strauss. He said the most touching thing about me in his will. I remember every word of it. To my beloved wife, Flora, I leave all my estate to be administered by executors because she is an A #1 schlemiel. Wasn't that sweet?
Hi, Queen.
Fine.
You lie.
Mary, I'm starved.
Oh, supper's nearly ready. As my last official act in Reno, I cooked the whole thing with my hands. Didn't I, Lucy?
All but the steak, tomatoes, and dessert, Missy.
Oh, Sylvia. From Edith.
Oh, you couldn't miss that infantile scrawl. You didn't hear from anyone?
No.
Well, darling, Stephen's hardly worth a broken heart.
The less you have to say about me and Stephen, the better I like it.
I'm only trying to cheer you up. That's more than you do for me.
I'm doing enough just being pleasant to you.
My, you have got the jitters, dear.
Hey, Sylvia, we're all out here in the same boat. Mary's laid off you. Why don't you lay off her?
I'm only trying to make her see life isn't over just because Stephen let her down.
You see, Miriam, what else is there for a woman but l'amour?
There's a little corn whiskey left.
Cynic, you don't believe in Cupid.
That double-crossing little squirt. Give me Donald Duck. Have a drink. Listen, babe, hold on, relax. You'd feel better.
Miriam, you're not very chatty about your own affairs.
Miriam, you sly puss. You never even breathed you knew Sylvia's husband.
What?
Sylvia, listen to this from Winchell. Miriam Vanity's Errands is being renovated. 3 guesses, Mrs. Fowler, for who's Ostermore?
Why can't those lousy colonists leave a successful divorce alone?
Prominent stockbroker and ex-Corrine to marry.
Why, you dirty little hypocrite!
Now, Sylvia.
Did you know this?
No, but Sylvia, why do you care? You don't love Howard.
Oh, love has nothing to do with it. She just wants Howard for his money.
And what did you want him for? I made Howard pay for what he wants. You made him pay for what he doesn't want.
Why, Sylvia, I thought you said Howard was impotent. Oh, what a pleasant surprise. I think I'll stay bought. That's more than you did, Sylvia.
If Howard's impotent, so is Ollie Khan.
Why, you dirty little drunk!
Don't start calling names, you Park Avenue slut! Strychnine. I need a rabies shot.
Mary, how could you let her do that to me?
Well, I'm terribly sorry, Sylvia.
Humiliation! You're on her side after all I've done for you.
What have you done for me?
I warned you!
Well, I'm not exactly grateful for that.
Oh, aren't you? Listen to me, you ball of conceit. You're not the object of pity, you suppose. Plenty of the girls are tickled to death you got what was coming to you. You deserve to lose Stephen, the stupid way you acted. But I always stood up for you like a loyal friend. What thanks do I get? You knew about that woman you stood by gloating.
You get out of here!
I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! I hate everybody!
Listen, Miss Fowler, you got the hysterics.
You wait! One day you'll need a woman friend, and then you'll think of me!
Come on. Yes.
Poor creatures, they've lost their equilibrium because they've lost their faith in love. L'amour. Remember the song Buck made up just for me? Oh, a man can ride a horse to the range above, but a woman's gotta ride on the wings of love. Come a tie, yippee, yippee-yay, yippee-yay, tie, yippee, yippee-yay. Come a tie, yippee, yippee-yay, hey, hey. The coast clear? That was the most disgusting thing I ever saw.
Right, kid, we're a pair of alley cats.
You shouldn't be here, Peggy, to see it at all.
What the hell are you doing here?
John wanted to buy a car.
With my money, John couldn't afford a car.
But you could. What's his is yours. What's yours is yours. It's very fair.
A woman's best protection is to keep a little money of her own.
A woman's best protection is the right man. Obviously, John isn't the right man, and Peggy will forget all about him in another month.
No, I won't. I can't. Because, oh, Mary, I'm going to have a baby. Oh, Mary, what shall I do?
Well, Peggy, what's his telephone number?
Eldorado 52075.
Eldorado 52075, please.
Oh, but oh, Mary, I can't tell him.
Why not? Isn't it his?
Oh, of course.
Make it snappy, operator.
I've always wanted one, but what can I do with it now?
Land it with the Marines.
Peggy, you've shared your love with him. This baby will share your love, your eyes, your hair, your virtues and your faults. But what little pin money you had, that you couldn't share with him.
Oh, Mary, I know I'm wrong, but it's no use. You don't know the things he said to me. I have my pride.
Reno's full of women who have their pride.
You think I'm like them?
Yeah, got the makings, dear.
Love has pride in nothing but its own humility.
Mr. Day, please. Reno calling. Mr. Day? My God, he must live by the phone.
Hello, John. No, I'm not sick. That is, I am sick. That is, I'm sick to my stomach. John, I'm going to have a baby. Oh, darling, are you? Oh, darling, do you? Oh, darling, so am I. So do I. Of course I forgive you. Yes, precious. Yes, lamb. On the very next train. John. Oh, Johnny, when I get back, things are going to be so different. John, do you mind if I reverse the charges? Oh, I can't stay for supper. I've got to pack.
Peggy, when you get back, don't see your girlfriends for a while.
Oh, Mary, I won't. It's all their fault we're here.
Not entirely.
Goodbye. Oh, I'm so happy I can cry.
Getting wise, aren't you?
Know all the answers.
Then why are you here?
Ooh, because I have plenty of advice, Miriam. Cigarette?
Listen,
No, there's nothing you can say that I haven't heard.
Sure. I come from a world where a woman's gotta come out on top or it's just too damn bad. Maybe I got a new slant.
All right, Miriam. Talk to me about my security. Talk to me about my legal advice. What does it all come down to? Compromise.
What the hell? A woman's compromised the day she's born.
Well, you can't compromise with utter defeat. He doesn't want me.
How do you know?
How do I know? Why else am I here?
Because you got no guts, Mary Haynes. It happened to me. I lost my man too.
You.
Though it only happened once. Got wise to myself after that. Look, how'd I lose him? We didn't have enough dough to get married. I wouldn't sleep with him till we did. I had ideals. God knows where I got them. I held out on him. Can you beat it? I like that guy a lot more than I ever liked anybody since. What'd my Romeo do? Got himself another girl. Oh, I made a terrible stink. Why shouldn't I? I should. But what I ought not to have done was say goodbye. I was like you.
I don't understand.
Then get a load of this. I should have licked that girl where she licked me. In the sack.
Miriam!
It's where you win the first round. And if I know men, it's still Custer's last stand. Shocked you. You're too modest? You're ashamed. Okay, sister. But my idea of love isn't ashamed of anything.
It's a good argument, Miriam. It's so modern. So simple. Sex the cause, sex the cure. Oh, but it's too simple, Miriam. Like your love battles are for lovers or professionals. Not for a man and woman who've been married for 12 quiet years. I'm not saying I wouldn't love to have Stephen's arms around me again, but I wouldn't recapture, if I could, the passion of our youth. That was a wonderful young thing we had. Like our youth, like the babies. Wasn't the thing that made him my husband. It made me his wife. He needed me. He needed me for 12 years. And he doesn't need me anymore.
I get it. That's why I'm marrying this fella guy. He sure needs me. If I don't marry him, he'll drink himself to death in a month before it's over.
Yes. Oh no, operator, we completed that call. You see, New York is calling for Mrs. Haynes. Well, she'll take the call. It's Stephen.
Oh, give him that speech you just made me.
I knew he'd call. I knew when that last moment came, he'd realize he needed me.
Oh, for God's sake, tell him you need him.
Oh, yes. Hello. Hello, yes, Stephen. It's Mary. Oh, yes, I am very cheerful. Oh, Stephen, it is so good to hear your voice. Yes, the decree goes through at 12 tomorrow, but Stephen, I still can... No, I haven't seen the newspapers. But how could I out here? Yes. I'd rather you told me. Of course. I understand the position you're both in. No, I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all. I hope you'll both be very happy. No, I have no plans. I have no plans at all. Yes, dear. Stephen, do you mind very much if I hang up now? Goodbye. Goodbye, Stephen.
He's marrying her.
Tomorrow. God, how did I let this happen? We were married. We were one person. We had a good life. Oh, God, I've been a fool. Oh!
Sure you have. Haven't we all, sister?
likes it or not. Has that kid gone home yet?
Mademoiselle Marie has just finished supper with her daddy. Madame, Monsieur is so anxious that you say a good night to him.
Listen, that kid doesn't want to bid me Betty bye any more than I do. He's tried for 2 years to cram us down each other's throat. Let her go home to her mama. Here, scrub. Someday, I'm gonna slap that kid down. She's too out! You're taking my skin off! Oh, so bored I could... Oh. Helene, never marry a man who's deserted a good woman. He's as cheerful as a man who's murdered his poor old mother. Oh, get out! And Helene, when Mrs. Fowler comes, keep her downstairs if you have to sit on her. Hello, darling. I'm in the tub. I'm shriveled to a peanut waiting for this call. No, I'm not afraid of a shock. You ought to know. Oh, Buck, I'm gonna miss you like nobody's business. I can't tell you what it did to me locking the door of our little apartment. I'll say we had fun. Komataya Yippee what? Oh, no, say anything you like. This is the one place where I have some privacy. Listen, baby, must you really go to the coast? Oh, the hell with Mr. Zack. Listen, you don't have to tell me what you sacrificed to have a movie career. I've seen that cartoon you married. If Flora was ever a countess, I'm the Duchess of Windsor. Oh, well, Buck, maybe she's not such a half-wit, but... Oh, call me back in 2 minutes. I've had a small interruption. Who told you to come in here?
Daddy, good night.
Oh, don't go, darling. Hand me that brush.
Please?
Please.
Good night.
My, you're in a hurry to tell Daddy about it.
About what?
I talk on the telephone.
Oh, I don't understand grown-ups on the telephone. They all sound silly. Good night.
Good night, who? You've been told to call me Auntie Crystal. Why don't you do it?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes. Good night.
You sit down.
Oh, it's awfully hot in here. I've got my coat on.
You heard me. We're going to have this out. I've done my level best to be friends with you, but you refuse to cooperate.
What?
Cooperate.
Cooperate.
Answer my question. You don't like me. Why?
Well, good night, Crystal.
I said why.
Listen, Crystal, my mother told me I wasn't to be rude to you.
For the last time, young lady, you give me one good reason why you don't like me.
I never said I didn't like you, Crystal.
But you don't like me, do you?
Nobody never said so. I've been very polite, Crystal, considering you're something awful!
Wait till your father hears this!
Listen, Daddy doesn't think you're so wonderful anymore.
Did he tell you that?
No, Daddy always pretends you're all right, but he's just ashamed to have Mother know what a mean, silly wife he's got. And I don't tell Mother what we think because you've made her cry enough, Crystal, so I'm not going to cooperate ever!
Get out!
And another thing, I think this bathroom is perfectly ridiculous. Good night, Crystal.
Yes, darling. That Haynes brat. God, she gets under my skin. No, she didn't hear anything. What good would it do her anyhow? You're off in the morning, and Lord knows we've been discreet. What? You are? Dining with the first Mrs. Haynes. Well, just be careful, darling. Lay off the gin. Just be careful, darling.
You! May I come in?
No, this isn't the aquarium. It's Grand Central Station.
Who was that?
A wrong number.
You were talking to a man.
Pass me that sponge, please.
Oh, Crystal, you know you can trust me.
that I come?
There must be someone. After all, I've known Stephen for years. He's really not your type. I often wondered how you two got together. I was telling my psychoanalyst about it. You know I've got to tell him everything.
That must be an awful effort.
I don't mind discussing myself, but talking about my friends does make me feel disloyal. He says Stephen has a guilt complex.
What?
He says men of Stephen's generation were brought up to believe that infidelity is a sin. That's why he allowed Mary to divorce him, and that's why he married you, Crystal. He had to marry you just to convince himself he was not a sexual monster.
Yes. Well, if Stephen's a sexual monster, psychoanalysis is through.
And he says you've got a Cinderella complex. He says most American women have. They're all brought up to believe that marriage to a rich man should be their aim in life. He says we neither please the men nor function as childbearing animals.
Will you function yourself into the bedroom?
I don't think that's the way to talk to me, after all I've done for you. When you married Stephen, you didn't know a soul. It wasn't easy to put you over. Everybody was on Mary's side.
They still are. They never miss a chance to remind me what a noble, useful woman Mary has become since she left Stephen.
My dear, she's miserable. Why, she never sees a soul.
She's having a dinner party tonight.
Edith told me. She's going. And Flora.
Flora.
The Countess de Lage. Mrs. Buck Winston. My God, I have to laugh when I think of Flora actually turning that cowboy into a movie star. Of course, he's not my type, but he's positively the chambermaid's delight.
Will you shut up?
But Crystal...
I said shut up. Helene!
Well, I think you're very ungrateful.
Well, take it up with your psychoanalyst. Helene, draw the curtains. I want to take a shower. That's right, Sylvia. Wait in the bedroom.
Oh, dear, I've lost another pound. Must remember to tell my analyst. You know everything means something. But even my analyst says no woman should try to do as much as I do. He says I attach too much value to my feminine friendships. He says I have a Damon and Pythian complex. I guess I have given too much of myself to other women. He says women are natural enemies. Why, Crystal, I didn't know you dyed your hair. Oh, my dear, I wouldn't use this. You smell it on every tart in New York. That reminds me, Crystal, if you do have an affair, for heaven's sake, be discreet. Remember what Howard did to me, the skunk. My, you're putting on weight. Oh, but men are so mercenary. They think they own you, body and soul, just because they pay the bills. I tried this cream that brought out pimples. Of course, Crystal, if you were smart, you'd have a baby. It's the only real hole.
Monsieur says, would Madame be alone?
Can't you see she's rushing? Men are so selfish. When you're only making yourself beautiful for them. I wish I could find a man who could understand my need for a companion. Crystal, what are you doing with the key to the Gothic apartments?
What? Oh, now that. Throw me a towel, Sylvia.
That's where Howard had me followed. Oh, the doorman there is a professional blackmailer. I asked my psychoanalyst about it, and he said blackmailers are really perverts who can't think of a good perversion, so they blackmail people instead.
Really? Well, he can't blackmail me now. The Gothic apartments are where Stephen and I had to go before the divorce. I keep it for sentimental reasons.
Poor Stephen. My dear, I thought tonight how tired he looked and old. Crystal, I've told you everything. Tell me, how long do you think you can be faithful to Stephen?
Well, I've played funny tricks. The urge might hit me tomorrow.
Oh, I doubt it, Pet. You're a typical blonde.
So what?
Well, most blondes are frigid.
Really? Well, maybe that's just a dirty piece of brunette propaganda.
Thanks, baby, a lot. I never was at a wedding dinner.
It was a success. I left Reno 2 years ago today. This was a memorial dinner for all you old Renoites and your new husband.
I get it. There's no soaping out your heart, sister.
Mary, if I had a heroine in one of my books who behaved the way you do, my 2 readers would never believe it. No one man is worth it.
Say the whole racket club isn't worth it. Speaking of my dear husband, Howard, the skunk, can I get a whiskey and soda?
Yeah, make it 2.
I lay off when Howard's around. I'm weaning him from the bottle in easy stages. He's in the secondary stage now.
What stage is that?
He puts ice in.
Well, how's matrimony, Miriam? Making a go of it?
I'm doing a reconstruction job that makes Boulder Dam look like an egg cup.
Oh, Mary, can't we get off to the party? I have John always wakes up. Little John said the cutest thing the other day. He said, Dada.
When does he enter Columbia?
Jane, will you tell Mrs. Winston to come up? The ladies are ready to go.
Mrs. Winston is drinking with a gentleman.
Well, tell her to come up.
What's your hurry? 2 more snooples and Flora will float up on her own breath.
Mary, I wish you had an elevator in this house. It's so difficult walking upstairs in my condition.
Oh, are you Catholic or just careless?
Mary, is this your old furniture?
Yes.
Well, I think you should get rid of it. There's nothing that keeps a woman so in the dumps as sleeping in a bed with old associations. Mary, you're carrying this nunnery business too far. How do you ever expect to find anyone if you don't make an effort?
Well, I don't want anyone, Edith. I hate men. Men are awful.
Oh, they're not all like Stephen, dear.
Oh, I saw plenty of men when I came back from Reno. They're all alike. They can never seem to leave you at your own front door without a wrestling match.
What beats me is the nicest guy in a taxi turns into Harpo Marx.
You know, I asked Phelps about that once. I said, why does a man act like a Don Juan in the taxi? And he said it was a hangover from their bachelor days, when a man's sex life was conditioned by the click of the meter. Mary, do you want to hear something about Sylvia?
No!
Well, Sylvia's seeing a psychoanalyst. She says you've destroyed all her faith in friendship.
As if any woman needs to go to a psychoanalyst to realize she can't trust other women.
Mary, you've grown awfully cynical.
Isn't wise the word. I'm beginning to understand women.
Too bad. That's the beginning of woman's inhumanity to woman.
Oh, they're gonna talk philosophy, Peggy. Come in here while I powder my nose.
Edith, did I tell you how little John said, Dada?
Listen, I wouldn't care if this one was born reading Shakespeare.
Oh, hello, girls. Hello, dear. Party over.
Enjoy the movies, Mother.
I wish I could make up my mind whether or not I like Shirley Temple.
Oh, such a lovely dinner. It's so wonderful to see all our lives temporarily settled.
My mother, Mrs. Moorhead, Mrs. Winston, Mrs. Buck Winston,
Buck Winston.
the movie star.
Oh, yes. My granddaughter adores her son on the screen.
I dare say the public does see Buck as just a boy, and it is a trifle absurd me being married to a movie star. But, Mrs. Moorhead, you wouldn't believe how many of my Newport friends who ridiculed Buck when I married him positively claw for invitations to Hollywood. Mais la, east is east and west is west, but I always say the cinema is the great leveler.
You don't say.
Mrs. Moorhead, do whip into something and come with Mary to my party. The casino roof. Everyone's clamored to come. I have no idea who's going to be there.
You're sure to know somebody. Later, dear.
Mary, you're not coming.
Oh no, Flora, I'm too tired.
Oh, you're cross because Buck's had a wee droppy.
Don't be modest, Flora. Your groom is stinko.
Ah, I do wish he wouldn't drink straight gin. He's not supposed to, you know. Mr. Zanuck put that in the new contract.
Countess, you should have all your marriage contracts drawn up by Mrs. Zanuck.
Oh, Mary, do come. This is really our farewell party. I'm never coming back to New York.
Oh, well, what's wrong with New York, Flora?
Mary, can I trust you?
Of course, Flora.
Well, you know how Buck always was. So impassionné.
That boy had something.
Well, he hasn't got it anymore, Miriam. First I thought it was just gin interfering with his libido, but now I think Buck has been deceiving me.
How incredible.
Of course I have no proof, but he comes home every afternoon smelling of a strange perfume.
Well, where does he say he's been?
Out visiting his horse. But Trixie was shipped to Hollywood last week. You remember, I was photographed with her in the baggage car. Now he says he's been going to the Grand Central Gymnasium. But when I telephoned telephone today, some great oaf answered. I said, is Buck Winston there? He said, who? No. So I said, my dear good man, he comes every day. And he said, oh, my mistake, lady. He's in there now boxing with Rudolph Valentino.
Oh, poor Flora.
That's why I think it's safer to just keep floating around.
I understand. L'amour.
L'amour, yes, but jamais. Jamais lopsided l'amour.
Oh, it's better lopsided l'amour than no amour at all. Oh, Flora, let him make a fool of you. Let him do anything he wants as long as he stays. He's taking the trouble to deceive you, and if he's taking the trouble, well, he really must have cared.
The voice of experience. Come on, chin out. That's right, both of them.
Oh, Charisse, you missed it. I was just saying. Now, you will keep this among the, 6 of us. I was just saying, I believe Buck has been unfaithful. Of course, it's my own fault. I should have had him followed, the way I did all the others. Ooh, I wish I knew where he'd had that apartment.
An apartment?
Well, of course. Where would you expect him to go? Central Park? Why, it's winter.
Oh, I've always heard people went to hotels.
Oh, Cherie, Buck could never go to a hotel. You know what would happen. At the most inopportune moment, someone would say, Mr. Winston, may I have your autograph? Why, it happened on our wedding night. I would have sent for the manager, but it was the manager asking for the autograph.
Darling, I'm sure you'll come to Flora's party.
No, Edith.
Oh, then I can tell you. Of course, I know how you feel about your ex and his new deal, but I think you'll be glad he's so happy.
Oh, I am.
Sylvia telephoned tonight. She and Crystal and Stephen are going up on the roof of the theater party. Well, I don't feel much like going myself. I loathe this dress. My husband says I look as though I were going to sing Wagner in it.
Think I'll go too, Mary. It's a good chance to study Park Avenue's flora and fauna. And I'm writing a new book. It's called Gone with the Iceman, or Sex Has No Place in the Home.
Oh.
Come on, Queen, change your mind. Let's go on to the party.
No, Miriam.
Well, I'm going. Wish you could see the cooing fest Howard and I put on for Sylvia.
Oh.
Shall I spit in Crystal's eye for you? You're passing up a swell chance, sister. Where I spit, no grass grows ever.
Oh, Jane, will you turn my bed down?
Yes, ma'am.
Mary had a good time at her father's.
Well, you know how she is when she comes home, ma'am.
I'm afraid she's never going to get used to it, Jane.
She takes after you, ma'am. If you'll pardon me. Always brooding. Sometimes I think she'd be better off if she didn't see her father, or though it's none of my business. If you were to find some nice...
Going to bed, darling.
Yes, Mother.
Shall we chat for a moment? I'll have a cigarette, Jane.
Mrs. Morgan.
Those dreadful women make me nervous. How Mrs. Haynes tolerates them even once a year is beyond me.
An object lesson. Smoking, Mother.
Oh, you too.
Me too.
I just felt your father give me a spooky pinch. You think after 10 years his ghosts might have grown more tolerant.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night, Jane.
Good night, Jane. Good book.
Oh, well, I don't know yet. Nancy gave it to me. It's about love, poetry, all about love. When love beckons to you, follow him. Though his ways are hard and steep. And when his wings enfold you, yield to him. Though his voice may shatter your dreams, as the north wind lays waste the garden.
All I can say is that's very tactless of Nancy. Oh, Mary, I wish you would find...
Some nice man. Oh, we've been all over it, Mother. I had the only one I ever wanted. I lost him.
Well, it wasn't entirely your fault.
I had to listen to everyone, everything but my own heart.
He loved her.
Still does. Though, you know, Mother, I'm just beginning to doubt it.
Why?
Because so many people like Edith make such a point of telling me how much he's in love with her. Mother, I'm very tired.
Do cheer up, darling. Living alone has its compensations. You can go where you please, wear what you please, eat what you please. I had to wait 20 years to order the kind of meal I liked. Your father called it bird food. And heaven knows it's marvelous to be able to sprawl out of bed like a swastika. Oh, good night, darling.
Good night, Mother.
Oh, don't read by that light. You'll hurt your eyes.
Mother, what's the matter, baby?
I had a bad dream.
What was it, darling?
I forget. Let me crawl with you.
Well, I'm so restless.
I don't mind if you pick me. You know, that's the only good thing about divorce. You get to sleep with your mother. I taste lipstick.
Well, I haven't washed yet. Go to sleep,
You know you're a very sympathetic mother.
Am I?
Oh, yes. So would you just tickle my back?
All right. Now go to sleep,
She's so silly. Who? Crystal.
Oh, shh.
I told Daddy so tonight.
You mustn't hurt your daddy's feelings.
Mother? I think Daddy doesn't love her as much as you anymore.
What makes you say so, Mary?
He told me so after I saw Crystal.
What?
But he said I mustn't tell you, because naturally, why do you care how he feels? Oh, don't stop tickling, Mother. Mother,
Yes.
what does anybody want with a telephone in the bathroom?
I don't know.
Crystal has one. She was awful mad when I walked in on her while she was talking.
Sleep, Mary.
Mother, who's the Duchess of Windsor?
What a question.
Well, Crystal said on the telephone that if somebody else was a countess, then she was the Duchess of Windsor.
Really?
Good night, Mother.
Good night.
I wonder if it was the same man you had for dinner.
Maybe.
I thought so.
If who was the same man?
Crystal was talking to you so lovey-dovey.
Mary!
Well, I mean, the front part was the same, Mother.
The front part of what?
His name, Mother.
Mary, what are you talking about?
That man Crystal was talking to in the bathtub.
Mary, what do you mean?
I mean, his front name was Buck, Mother.
Oh!
Oh, Mother, what are you doing?
Oh, go to sleep, Mary.
Grown-ups are so sudden. Are you dressing?
Yes, Mary.
Forgot you were invited to a party?
Almost, Mary.
What are you going to do when you get there?
Well, I don't know yet, but I'm going to do something.
We'll have a good time. Oh, Mother!
Yes.
I remember now. I have something to tell you.
Yes.
I was awfully rude to Crystal.
Well, I'll forgive you. Just this once, huh?
Nothing now.
Oh, yes, Jane, my evening gown and a taxi. And Jane, don't send the gaming. Hurry, hurry!
It's jam.
My boyfriend will get us a table.
My dear, will you let me?
No, he won't.
How incredibly foul!
I'm heartbroken, but I have to be philosophical. After all, missing one winter in Palm Beach really won't kill me.
I thought you and the boyfriend had a row.
We did.
About what?
His wife?
His wife? What right has she got to butt in?
He's got some cockeyed ideas after 20 years he can't kick her out.
Jeepers! Why don't they get sick of this joint night after night? Same act, same faces, same music.
They like familiarity. It gives them confidence.
Oh, I'll say they like familiarity. Most of them shoving around that dance floor would be more comfortable with each other in bed.
In the bed, if they was to get that over with, what would they use for conversation?
Dancing like that? What can those boys think of you? Guzzling champagne like that after all I spent on your education? It's one thing to come out, it's quite another to go under the table.
You getting married, dearie?
Oh, as soon as Mike finds a job. It ain't fair! Why, we could get married and have a family on that coat. Sadie, what if I was to tell you I'm a communist?
I'd say you was Bats. I was a Norman Thomas Feynman.
Where'd it get me?
Oh, how could you do such a thing to me? Oh, the Dr. Jekyll, the Mr. Hyde. Which was which? Downey, you put an awful dent in his career, Flora. What is my career? I've had 5 husbands. Buck's the first one to ever tell me what he really thought of me in public.
It takes all kinds of husbands to round out a career like yours.
Oh, he told me he'd been deceiving me for months, right in the middle of smoke gets in your eyes. Oh, I feel so superfluous. A Brahma seltzer. Brahma seltzer. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça?
It will settle your superfluity. Flora, did he tell you the lady's name?
Unfortunately, Nancy, he's not that drunk.
And another drink for Mr. Winston.
No, Miriam, he wouldn't tell me her name because she's a married woman. Buck's very proletarian. The only thing he would say was, she was a natural blonde.
That ought to narrow down the field.
He says she was pretty as a painted wagon.
Oh, you're a pretty damn colorful Goliath yourself. Snap out of it, Flora. You know you're gonna forgive him.
Why could I forgive unfaithfulness, but not base ingratitude? I rescued him from those prairies. I married him. What thanks do I get? He says he'll be a cockeyed coyote before he'll herd an old beef like me back to the coast.
Let this be your lesson, Flora. Don't let your next husband become financially independent of you.
Now don't lecture me, Nancy. Every time I marry, I learn something. This has taught me once and for all, you can't expect noblesse oblige from a cowboy. Oh, my eyes, they're full of mascara.
We have got to get her home. I'll get Buck and meet us in the lobby. We're headed for the last roundup.
No, there's a telephone in there. I'm going to call Mr. Zanuck.
Now, Flora, what can he do?
I just want to remind him he can't make a picture with Buck until I say so.
Why not?
I own Buck's horse. Yippee-yi-yay, Oh, what's it all about?
One gets you 10. Oh, some man.
Oh, I bet he wasn't worth it.
You can always count on that one.
Laughing and joking with those boys like that?
Yes.
What can they think of you?
Yes.
And don't think I didn't overhear that Kristen boy call me an old drizzled either.
She was jaded in her Brahma seltzer.
Oh, Crystal's not in there. I don't think she's in the joint.
She's coming, I know it.
So what are you going to do when you find her?
Well, I don't know yet, but I have to do something. Buck's going to Hollywood in the morning.
Say, when did you settle this matter with Stephen?
Well, I have no proof, I tell you. But if Buck's as drunk as you say is, he's got to give something away.
Listen, he's been trying all night to get Flora away to the door. Got a $20 bill?
Yes.
Gotta keep Buck locked in the men's room till it ain't him.
Not £3.
£3.
How divine! Aren't you ecstatic?
Oh, yes, but it's the moral satisfaction. Just bananas and milk for one whole week. That called for enormous character.
Comes the revolution. She'll diet plenty.
I wish I hadn't come.
Your husband didn't want you to.
Flora was disgusting.
But she was funny. Even the kettle drummer was laughing. My dear, who could stand the life we lead without a sense of humor? But Flora's a fool. Remember, Peggy, it's matrimonial suicide to be jealous when you have a really good reason.
Edith, don't you ever get tired of giving advice?
Listen, Peggy, I'm the only happy woman you know. Why? I don't ask Phelps or any other man to try and understand me. How could they? I'm a woman, and I don't try to understand them. They're just animals. But who am I to quarrel with the way God made them? I've got security, and I say, what the hell? And let nature take its course. It's going to anyway.
So here we were on a Saturday night, and it's Atlantic City. And he said, I gotta go home tomorrow, baby. And I said, why you got to? And he says, my wife always expects me home on Easter Sunday. And I said, what do you expect me to do? Lay an egg?
Oh, they got no sentiment.
So I told him I had a great career before you made me give up the stage of Thunkhead. And for what? A couple of cheesy diamond bracelets. A lousy car, which every time it breaks down, you gotta get the parts shipped over from Italy.
a minute, lady.
Stephen is in a mood.
He can take it and like it. Is my mouth on straight?
Why, Crystal, you didn't come here to see somebody, did you?
Oh, Sylvia, can't you lay off that for a minute?
Mrs. Haynes, this is a great pleasure.
I beg your pardon?
Such a lovely party. I was afraid you weren't going to make it. Mrs. Fowler, Mrs. Haynes, Mrs. Fowler. Mrs. Fowler.
Charmed.
This is absurd.
Oh, modern life is so complicated. When you came in, I was just telling
Oh,
you.
come along, Sylvia. The lady is tight.
Mary, when did you begin drinking?
Oh, earlier in the evening with Mr. Winston. You know Mr. Winston, don't you?
I'm afraid I don't.
Of course you do, Crystal. I introduced you to him, don't you remember?
Yes, at a cocktail party.
Well, he's in the lobby now waiting for someone, Mrs. Haynes, drunker than you can possibly imagine. You'll find him very hard to handle in front of Stephen.
Crystal, where are you going?
I won't stand here and listen to drivel.
Oh, I wouldn't go in there either, Mrs. Haynes. You see, Buck's wife is in there having hysterics. She's found out he's been deceiving her.
Really? What has that to do with me?
Quite a bit. You seem to be the woman.
Why, Crystal, are you?
If he used my name, it's a lie. He's just a cheap soul.
Tomorrow will all be common gossip. I'm afraid Stephen's not going to like it.
Oh, Crystal, he's going to loathe it, but my psychoanalyst is going to adore it.
What are you trying to do? Pin something on me in front of witnesses?
Whatever she's driving at, Crystal, that little tramp put her up to it.
Keep out of this.
Yeah, check it, Sylvia. We're minor league this evening.
All right, Mrs. Haynes. You've been listening to the ravings of a conceited fool. What did he tell you?
Really, Mrs. Haynes? This is very embarrassing.
Yes, Mrs. Haynes, isn't it? Exactly what do you think you know about me?
Everything.
Then why are you standing here talking to me? You ought to be outside spilling it to Stephen. You're bluffing. Come along, Sylvia.
Well, that's very good advice. Maybe I will tell Stephen.
He wouldn't believe you.
Oh, you can't be too sure, Crystal. He's terribly fond of Mary.
Now get this straight, Mrs. Haynes. You handed me your husband on a silver platter, but I'm not returning the compliment. I like what I've got, and I'm going to keep it. I can't be stampeded by gossip. What you believe and what Stephen believes will cut no ice in a divorce court. You need proof, and you haven't got it. When Mr. Winston comes to his senses, he'll apologize, and Stephen will have no choice but to accept my explanation. Now that's that. Good night.
But will Mrs. Winston accept your explanation?
Oh, what have I got to explain to her?
What about the apartment?
What apartment?
Oh, you know as well as I do.
Oh, stop trying to put two and two together.
Oh, Mrs. Winston did that. She had you followed. She's seen you both.
Seen us both doing what?
Going in, coming out.
Going in and coming out of where? You're lying.
I wouldn't be so sure, Crystal.
It sounds like the McCoy to me, Crystal.
Oh, Crystal, why didn't you confide in me?
Oh, Sylvia, didn't she?
Certainly not. She's the cat that walks alone. Why, Crystal, I could have told you somewhere much safer than the Gotham apartment. How dare you! Just slap your stupid face! How dare you! Oh, how dare she!
Oh, I've got a job to do on Flora. Kiss you when I get back, Sylvia.
And I'll explain the facts of life to Stephen.
You're trying to break up my marriage.
The way you did hers, you floozy!
Maybe you're welcome to my leftovers.
Oh, I'll take them, thank you.
Oh, Mary, haven't you any pride?
That's right, no. No pride. That's a luxury a woman in love can't afford. Being too bad.
You painted wagon! So you're determined to have a scandal, Mrs. Haynes? I'm the one who's going to have a scandal. Why, Mary, she's no more a blonde natural than I am. What's the creature's name? Miriam forgot to tell me.
Mrs. Stephen Haynes, currently.
Is that the thing Stephen left you for? Well, Sherry, all I can say is you're an idiot. I hope I never live to see the day when an obvious piece like that conquers me on the Champ d'Amour. Yeehaw!
You were lying. That old fool didn't know about us.
I'm afraid she didn't.
There's a gentleman called Mr. Haynes. Says he's been waiting a long time for his wife.
Well, I'm coming.
Why, Mary, what a dirty female trick you played!
Yes, from the great noble little woman. You're just a cat like all the rest of us. Well, I've had 2 years to sharpen my claws. Jungle Red Sylvia. Good night, ladies.
You don't even know who you messed with.
Help me! Ah!